Yo, 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 what is good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of NBA to the Galaxy Pod, presented by yours truly, myself, Jeremy. You can follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter at R2R30111. And you can follow your other host here, Scotty, at Scotty Drown. And as you guys can see, we gave you guys a little treat this week. This is our second time back at it again.
Sir.
And, we normally not do this, but we're trying to be more consistent with it as the year go on. But nonetheless, we got a pretty awesome show to discuss today. Who will be recapping the terrific matchup last night against OKC and the Cavaliers, what a matchup that was, as well as pivoting to Giannis and his Bucks versus Wemby and his Spurs. And basically, we'll also be discussing like the viewership. A lot of that's kind of been a discussion around
It's
the
been a
league,
topic.
the topic like has viewership gone down or whatnot. But nonetheless, we got a lot to discuss. But before we dive into any of that, my guy Scott, how are you doing on this good Thursday evening, my brother?
Hey man, this week I was gonna say it's not going fast. This week is dragging. It's been a busy week at work, to be honest with you, Slim, which I have down weeks and I have really busy weeks. There's no in between with my job, but
Yeah, I
no,
feel
I'm happy. This is like relaxation for me. This is like venting. This is like talking about what I want to talk about. Like,
yeah,
I sit at work and I talk about banking all day and shit like that and numbers and all that stuff. I want to
yeah.
talk about basketball, sports. So I'm glad to be here with you. And we are almost to Friday, man. That's a blessing in itself. So I'm going to take it for what it is. But yeah, you mentioned it, 2 shows a week, hopefully more consistently as we approach All-Star Weekend and even closer to the postseason. We're going to be getting more and more content out there. The biggest thing for me, especially, is once NFL season concludes, I'm completely free for the most part, so I have more than enough time. We can do 3 shows if you want to come postseason. But
Hey
we'll,
man,
we'll see
hey,
how it plays out. Let me
yes,
not
sir, yes,
size it up. Let me not
sir.
size it up.
Yeah, man, let's not do
No,
that.
but as I'm talking through that, Slim, something that pops to my mind. Maybe we get to the postseason. Maybe we just do an episode for each postseason series and kind of separate them like that. It's something to think about as we approach it. But got a long way to go, man. Long NBA season to go. I'm glad you brought up the ratings as well because it's a big topic. We're getting into the NFL postseason, so that's going to grab a lot of the views. It's going to grab a lot of the good ratings. It's going to grab a lot of the viewership. So how can the NBA kind of get back on the right track, man, and get the viewers back buying in? Is
I
a
got a
big
great
thing here. We
idea
can
of
talk
how
about
they can
that.
do that. I got a great
Oh,
idea
okay.
how they can do
I'm
that,
interested to hear it. I'm
man.
interested to hear it. I
Yeah, but
wasn't him. I didn't know you had the ideas on you, NBA league commissioner. Yeah.
bro, you need to yeah, chill out, bro. Yeah,
Hey,
my
let me start there. Is Adam Silver the problem?
it's debatable. It's debatable.
It's debatable because it feels like since he came into the picture and David Stern left, I could be wrong. I was a lot younger, so I may have been fooled, as a young
Yeah,
person
it's
watching it, but it felt more intense. It felt like more people were watching and viewing. But maybe that's all in my head, man.
yeah. I mean, David Stern he received a lot of heat when
He did
he
though.
didn't approve that CP3 trade for him to go to LA, man. So it's a
I
lot to
got him
think
out of
about.
there.
Yeah,
But
it would have been
let's
good for
start.
the Breeze.
Let's start with last night because there was one game that could increase viewership with the way it was played and the way it played out. It was a nice,
Mhm.
close, competitive game, maybe an NBA Finals preview. You had
Yeah,
another game that was a little less intriguing, and I think it's a good example of why there isn't as much viewership with the NBA in these days. But let's start with that OKC Cleveland matchup, man. I'm going to throw it to you first here. What did you see in this? Like, what did this game prove to you as far as the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Oklahoma City Thunder? What did you see in this game, man?
well, to me, that solidified that. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say solidified, but the Cavaliers are for sure legit. I mean, for them to get a win like that with your best player struggling the whole night, that says a lot. Like, you got to give props to guys like Ty Jerome, who scored like 15
Yeah,
points in like 12 minutes. He was huge for them, and he definitely
yeah.
came off the bench and gave them that spark that they needed. So, shout out to him. Kudos to him. I wish he was still my Warriors, but yeah, when you see like
He would come in
guy,
handy.
yeah, when we see guys like that rise to the occasion, it definitely says a lot about this team identity, as well as like Mobley. Like, man, you talk about the leap he has taken this
Yeah.
season. Shout out to him, Jared Allen, all those guys been balling.
At a
So
night. Yep.
yeah, for those guys to all those guys just step up to the plate while Donovan Mitchell basically struggled the whole night. It says a lot about them. And then from OKC perspective, like it was they held their own, but they was without Chet and Caruso. I feel like if fully healthy, this could literally be a great finals matchup. Like they match up pretty well, from
Yeah.
start lineup to the bench. They got a lot of depth, and they match up pretty well. So yeah, man, overall it's a pretty good matchup for sure. I mean, the league has hyped this game up for quite some
Yeah.
time now. So yeah, and it definitely lived up to it. So yeah.
What's up, D-Rab? Appreciate you tapping in. I appreciate the compliment. We do got Steph peeking around the corner in the background there with Slim. Chet. I'm not sure on Chet, man. That
Chet
was
should definitely be back by next month for sure. He should.
February
Yeah,
approaching like
because he's
not
been
trade
out since
deadline, but
like
All-Star weekend.
November. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And once they get him back, I mean, watch out. It's going to be ridiculous. It's good honor. Thank you for tapping in, brother.
it's good, y'all.
No, I thought you made a good point about the Cavs first of all. Winning this game the way they did with the bench production, Strus and Jerome off the bench. You mentioned Mitchell struggled from the field on the night, 3 for 16, only 11 points in this game, but the rest of the guys were kind of able to carry the weight. You had Jared Allen go 9 for 11 from the field, Mobley go 8 for 13. Both guys grabbed double-digit boards in this one, so both guys come away with 20 and 10. It's going to be hard to beat a team when their two big guys are doing that, and then you also throw in guys like Darius Garland and the Max Struses of the world. Even the Karis LeVerts, I saw him finish some crazy layup the other night, man. That was sick. Karis LeVert, just while I have him like up on my mind right now, he is like one of the most talented like mid players that I've ever seen in my life. Like I thought at a point when he first came into the NBA that he could be like not a star, but like a player that's just under a star.
Yeah, like he can give you.
But
18,
he's a major role player.
He can give you like 18 a game because he did that.
He
with
can.
Brooklyn. Like
he can
with
the right opportunity. He can give you 18.
Look at a guy like Norman Powell, right? Mr.
Yeah.
What did he say? Like Mr. Addition by subtraction or something like
that?
Yeah.
That's a great comparison because that is a guy that I would not like, maybe not play styles, but just like the ability versus the lack of opportunity. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So I like Karis LeVert. I like their bench as a whole. Even is it Isaac or Isaiah?
Isaac Okoro.
Yeah, Isaac Okoro started for them last year, coming off the bench this year. Great defender. He gives you 0 points in this one. I understand that, but still another option off the bench. You got shooting all over the place. But yeah, Jared Allen was impressive. That's why I ultimately put him on the cover there. Show him a little bit of love because I feel like he almost doesn't. Man. The fro, yeah, he's got the flow. Hey, Slim was trolling me on my way home from work today, man. And we got into a little. First of all, he said Jared Allen owns Joel Embiid, and I was like, on what grounds? On what grounds does Jared Allen own Embiid? Then you brought out the fro flow, and that's where you had me beat, bro. Like I can't argue with the hair. He's got a major flow. But no, Jared Allen is a very quality player. This is a quality basketball team. You look at. Yeah, I'll give him that. You look at this matchup and kind of how it played out. Cleveland snaps OKC's 15-game win streak. OKC's impressive. Last loss was against the Bucks in that NBA Cup championship. Can you believe that?
Wow, 15. Like I think that's a franchise record, though, if I'm not mistaken.
It's gotta be right. And
like. Then on the flip side of that, like the Cavaliers, they just set another record. Like I think that they won their 11th straight game last night, and that's like, I think they definitely an elite company for like a team to have multiple game win streaks.
Multiple,
10-game win streaks to be exact during the season.
Yeah. So, I don't know if last night was 11 or not. Maybe it didn't update on ESPN.
It's 11. It's 11.
Okay, so it didn't update on ESPN. So they're on an 11-game win streak right now. Their last loss was on December 8th to the Miami Heat. So it's been quite a while for them as well. Cleveland Cavs, OKC, 32-4 for Cleveland, 30-6 for the Oklahoma City Thunder, man. If you had to put your money on it right now, would these be the two teams you pick in the NBA Finals or to go?
Oh, man. Oh, my God.
Like
What
right
are
now,
they
you got
doing?
to put your money on it.
I can't do that, man. I can't.
Who makes you, who outside of these two teams makes you think that way? Makes you go against
Well,
that thought?
it's honestly, it's really just one, and that's the Celtics. I have to give them their
Yeah.
props. Like, they're the defending champs, so I can't just overlook them like that. So
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny you say that because it's exactly what I have written down here. NBA Finals preview question mark. I'll take Boston versus OKC. I do think that would be the matchup, but maybe I'm not giving the Cavs the credit that they deserve. I think on one end, they're doing something that it doesn't happen often, and it's playing basketball in the NBA. So on one end, I think they're doing that, which could work well in the postseason. On the other end, we talked about this today as well, and I'm glad I didn't think of it first. I'm glad you told me you thought of this as well. Yeah. The 2015 Atlanta Hawks. They had what, 4 All-Stars on that team?
Yeah, 4 All-Stars.
Al Horford,
maybe 5. Al Horford, Kyle Korver, Jeff Teague,
Josh Smith,
Paul Millsap. Yeah, Al Horford, Paul Millsap, Jeff Teague, Kyle Korver. I think that may have been it.
Where am I getting Josh Smith from? How long ago was that?
He played for them. That was a while. I think, did he play with Joe Johnson? I think that
Joe Johnson. You're right. I'm going to a Hawks team before, but yeah, you're right. It was Paul Millsap. I remembered him in that group. Al Horford, Kyle Korver, and who was the other one you said?
Jeff Teague.
That makes sense. That being said, I'll throw this to you. Do you see any signs of that? Do you get any feeling of that from this Cleveland Cavaliers team?
Well, I'm not gonna lie. Like, to start the year off, I kind of did, but as the season just went on, it kind of like went away because I think this team is legit and is better. They're way better than them. Yeah, they're actually good because they had a lot of statement wins, during these runs.
So they only have 4 losses.
Yeah, they only got 4 losses, and they are on pace to break more records. So
yeah. Because if they finish the season, they've played 36 games right now. Over the next 36, let's just say they won the same amount, right? That would be 64-8. So it'd be matching Boston's win total already from last year. If they continue at this pace, you could get into a record territory. But I will say this: I think there are signs that it could be, just because the production is so widespread out. But it also isn't a bad thing. It isn't necessarily a detractor. We just look back at that team as a bad example. It sticks out. Yeah. What I would say is that Donovan Mitchell is better than any player that team had on it, right? Like when you look at a go-to guy come postseason.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a great way to look at it, because if you think about it, like, none of those guys you could just go through offensively like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, D-Rod, it's funny, man. I have my door open. I usually don't have the door open, but the wife's not home. My pup was by himself all day. And I keep hearing these like faint little noises, like from wherever out the door. But yeah, let me keep my attention on the screen here. My bad, D-Rab. Clocking my eyes.
Yeah, D-Rab catching on everything over there. I wonder if they could sustain their dominance. But
HP says he says Celtics as well. And D-Rab says when the Suns get Jimmy Butler.
Interesting.
Hey, Bradley Beal did have a game the other night against the Sixers, man, off the bench.
Yeah, they say
best Cavs team ever.
They say he just building that trade value up, so.
If he wants to get where he wants to. And did you see? You remember I said, no, it was Memphis. He actually said this about, not New Orleans. Jimmy Butler saying, "Hell no, Memphis, man." That
Yeah,
surprised me, man. That surprised. He must not like somebody on that team.
I mean, I feel like that's a perfect fit for him, but I
I
don't
do
know.
too.
Maybe it's the city. I don't know, man. I've been to the M a
Weird.
lot. It's cool.
The city probably does matter to that dude. Yeah,
But I
I don't
mean, I
know
feel
about
like
Jimmy Butler, man.
it's I don't know. It's a lot.
Let's look at the other game from last night, man. We had the Greek Freak taking on Victor Wembanyama. This was
Yamba.
supposed to be a marquee matchup between two aliens when it comes to basketball.
Giants.
Yeah, Giants. That's a good. Yeah, I love the emphasis right there, bro. You got to use like the voice, the different voices more, man. I like
Yeah.
that. This was supposed to be a huge marquee matchup. One side of the matchup did show up. The Spurs had a little bit of a rough night last night. Early on in this game, man, you have Wemby in and out, dealing with a little bit of foul trouble throughout the first parts of the game. Gets to the second half. He's not dealing with it anymore, but had kind of lost his rhythm at that point. Because mind you, he scored like 7 or 8 points in the first quarter. He ends the game with 10. But I think this is part of the problem with the viewership. And I know you have some suggestions. We're going to get to those. But when I look at this game, for example, I was super excited to watch this game on national television, on ESPN.
Yeah.
It's a good matchup. And, you get a game where Wemby doesn't show up, 10 points, and wasn't a great night for him. And maybe it was just an off night, but it seems to be that these type of nights, I feel like, happen on national television a little too often, where you're not getting a fully competitive matchup.
Yeah.
Now, some of it can be attributed to officiating. I do believe that. Which it begs the question, like, how do you fix it? Is it the scheduling? Is it the officiating? Like, what do you see when you're watching these type of matchups play out?
First of all, did you see that circus layup that Wemby made last night? Like, oh man, like wow.
Yeah, I mean, we call Greek Freak the freak, but I mean, Wemby is an alien, a freak, like all of that, man. Like he is nasty. But
you talk about like defying the laws of physics, like
yeah.
well,
Let me ask you this about the Spurs really quickly. Are they a playoff team in your eyes? Can they make the playoffs this year?
Yeah, they can make it. Yeah, they can make it. Yeah, I can see that.
So you said you had suggestions to basically like maybe fix what's going on here. What were those? I'm curious.
Well, basically, first I'd actually answer your initial question. Like, I think it's a mixture of, like the scheduling and the officiating. Like, when you had this conversation a ton, like I don't know if it was on the book, off the book, but basically, like these back-to-back games are like they're not good for the league. I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah.
because if you think about it, okay, prime example, you go back to when your Sixers played my Warriors. Y'all
Yeah.
had one heck of a matchup against the Kings the night before. And keep in mind that on the second night of a back to back, of course, the game versus the Warriors is going to be the nationally televised game. So in saying that, like you're not getting 100% out of all your guys, like at least from you
Yeah.
guys' perspective, anyway. Like obviously
Yeah.
Joel Embiid, he rested, but he still just didn't seem right. If you know if that make any sense. And
Yeah.
then you just seen the whole team kind of like drowsy or whatnot. But I think that if they could cut down on some back to back games, that'll be good for the league. And as well as like the officiating, it goes back to what Charles Barkley said a long time ago. It's like they hate to be wrong, like which is why I'm so glad that they implied
I'm
this
glad you said
challenge.
that.
Like it just makes so much sense to apply something like that. Like it's like they just hate to be wrong, but if they
Yeah.
could do those things and refs be more accountable for their wrongdoings, I think that things can start to trend in the right direction in terms of more viewers and whatnot. But
Yeah.
my suggestion, shout out to Coach Joe Mazzulla of the Boston Celtics. He said that they should allow the players to wrestle. I agree. I agree.
It would get
It,
views.
yes, it's entertainment. Let these guys get that, bad
Like a
energy off
hockey.
them.
Like
Yeah,
a hockey type of scuffle, but no fists, just like wrestling.
yeah, like a little tussle,
Yeah.
put them in a chokehold,
Man, and that is part of it too. I'm glad you said that as well, man. That is part of it. Like it's not just like the chokehold. I know you being funny. Like it's not just that. It's not just like the Draymond, getting into guys' faces or shoving someone or anything like that. But it's the intensity. It is the not liking one another.
That's the
Like the
thing. Like,
Celtics and Lakers not liking each other.
mhm.
That's what the league, I feel like, is missing. Where, to your point, you brought up the Sixers. I got Paul George on my team. He will go out one night, play this guy on the other team, and then the next night have this guy on his podcast. You know what I mean?
That's
A
like great point. That's a great
there's
point.
no
Yeah.
way that you're playing with the right, I don't want to say the right amount of intensity, but
No, you're right.
the
Bro.
intensity that was from the past. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like if you go back to back then, Shaq, all those guys wasn't buddy. They looking to kill you on the floor. Every time I turn around, I see LeBron and Draymond hanging out. Like, what is
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
nowadays? This is ridiculous.
The
Like,
Lakers and the Warriors, they should be rivals.
Right, and that's a great point you brought about Paul George. Like, it's crazy. I spotted him and Draymond talking at the free throw line. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Like, what are y'all talking about? Like,
That is so weird. And I don't know if it's like just a Paul George thing, because like I feel like Embiid plays really friendly with Draymond as well.
He
Like,
does. I seen them talking too at the free throw line.
it's so weird to me. Because Embiid is a guy that likes to run his mouth too. You know what I mean? He likes to talk some shit. Draymond likes to talk some shit.
I don't know what it is. Like, is it some type
I get
of
having
fear?
respect for each other. I get having respect.
Yeah, I can see,
But
but when we on the court, like it's none
nah.
of that. Like it's not.
That's the thing. That's the thing, bro. Because like back in the day, man, when I used to hoop regularly, like competitively,
Yeah,
you could put me on the court against my best friend in real life, and I might be about to fight them over basketball if we're playing in a game. Like that. That is the intensity that I play with.
That's how it should be. So
it is. It's a matter of like, you're not gonna outclass me. You're not gonna make me look bad.
Yeah,
right.
That's how it should be.
Not gonna make my team look bad.
Also, another reason is you said the intensity. I feel like another reason why something like that has kind of gone away is that these refs, like every time I turn around, if a player cuts another player out, y'all ready to eject them or get them a tech. There's money that's being lost out their pocket, so they be kind of afraid or hesitant to say anything.
Yeah, they're gonna zip it up.
And then also D-Rail just, he had a great point as well, like with the subscription standpoint, so.
Yeah, let me pull that back up because that is a real thing, man. That is a real thing. When you're spreading these games out across multiple different subscriptions, plus you have to have like some sort of cable. I'm not saying like necessarily like cable hooked into your wall, but Hulu Live Sports or YouTube TV.
Yeah,
that shit is the same price as cable.
Yeah, all that. It adds
and
up.
then they're throwing games on HBO. They're throwing games on Amazon Prime, Peacock. Like it's all over the place, man. So that's all sports right now with the subscriptions.
Yeah.
I did want to ask you one more thing from this game specifically, the Bucks and the Spurs. Bucks absolutely on fire last night. AJ Green had 4 threes in this game. Trent Jr. had 4 threes in this game. Dame had 4 threes in this game. Giannis ends with 25, 16, and 8. Brook Lopez ends with 5 threes. Lighting it up from the three-point line. Doc Rivers, I hate to say it, he has his team rolling right now, especially since the NBA Cup tournament. Are the Milwaukee Bucks, like, can they win the NBA title?
I don't think so. And
like, are they contenders? Maybe not can they win the title, but do you view them as a team that if they play Boston in the postseason, they could?
Once again, I don't think so because you had great points and shout out to that because that can be a reason. If they keep rolling like that, then they'll be rolling. But it comes down to one guy. I mean, you have said his name plenty of times. He's the X factor, and it's Chris Middleton. If you go back to when they won that championship against the Suns in that series, he was the X factor. He really was. Yeah, he was the true Robin. He really was. So, yeah, if Chris Middleton just not necessarily get back to that level, but
Yeah.
some degree kind of get back to it, then I can read him as contenders because he has been benched pretty much moving forward. So
Yeah.
yeah,
15 to 20 point Chris Middleton
yeah.
per night,
So I
right?
feel like
Like,
him coming off the bench now that can kind of allow him to get back more so into his rhythm. He kind of run the second unit. Pretty much shoot all the shots he wants. So
yeah, it is interesting. And it's interesting that Doc Rivers spotted this. Like Doc Rivers, I will commend him. He's doing a good job with the Bucks. I do believe that. The
mhm.
opportunities that he's giving to some of these guys that I didn't know who they were coming into the
AJ
season.
Green, yeah,
AJ
all those
Green,
guys.
yeah.
Andre Jackson
Jackson
Jr.
Jr. Yep.
Yeah,
Who's the other
Torian
one?
Prince
There's
been pretty good for them. Uh, Another
who's
guy,
slipping
Gary
my mind?
Trent.
Gary Trent. Okay, so
Probably.
Billicham isn't getting too much
Yeah,
playing
yeah, that's
time
what I
there.
said. I was just gonna say I don't think Bochamp getting a lot of minutes over there.
Yeah, he was the other guy that I was thinking of, but he's not getting a ton of playing time right now. But they do have some widespread talent. Doc Rivers moves Middleton to the bench, which kind of balances the starting lineup a little bit more,
Yeah,
right?
it does. Yeah, he needs
Because you
some
got a guy
minutes.
that you got guys that already need the ball in their hands, anyways, with Dame and Giannis. So
Yeah, so why not?
no, I tend to agree with you. Like I coming into the show, I would have said I think I even told it to you before the show. I think the Bucks are legit contenders.
Yeah, you did.
When you pose them against the Celtics, and I think you can do this with most teams, if that's how you're measuring who a true contender is, there's not going to be a ton of true contenders. I think it's going to be the Cleveland Cavaliers and maybe the New York Knicks if they can really get it rolling closer to the postseason.
Yeah, those are the two
Um,
teams.
yeah, I do agree. So let's move to tonight's action, man. I know we wanted to talk some T-Wolves, talk some Pistons before we get out of here. Got to go pick the wife up from work, so we'll kind of blitz through these a little bit here. But let's start with the T-Wolves. Charles Barkley, thoughts on his comments? I know you had those. If you want to clarify what his comments were regarding Ant Edwards and this T-Wolves team.
Basically said that Anthony Edwards has regressed. I think that may have been the only thing he said. I think Charles Barkley was the only person to say that. I haven't seen anybody else say that, but I completely disagree. When you look at the way this team is constructed, Anthony Edwards has to shoot those many threes. He's not necessarily selling it, but when you have a front court of Rudy Gobert and Julius Randle, that kind of speaks for itself. Julius Randle is not a consistent 3-point shooter, high volume 3-point shooter. So I mean, hey, he just kind of like got to play within the floor of the offense. It's not like he just forcing the issue with shooting threes. He's been knocking it down in the defensive race. So I
Yeah,
don't see what's the problem. He's making like 10 a game, so that's pretty good. And yeah, it's
yeah,
the
no,
roster
I
it's the roster construction like problem. So yeah,
exactly, and that's where I think Chuck was being a little unfair with the comments because
yeah, like come
like
on, bro.
it's not Ant's fault that the ownership traded Cat, who's balling out for the New York Knicks this season, for Julius Randle, who is a clunky fit on pretty much any NBA roster at this point in his career, if we're being completely honest. I'm not a huge Julius Randle hater. I think it's just a reality of the way that he plays.
That's right.
And I think we're seeing it play out in Minnesota, man. So I agree with you. And I think one of the complaints about Edwards, or one of the things that people were saying he needed to improve on last season, was coming out and shooting more threes. So he came out, he worked on it in the offseason, obviously, and he's shooting more threes. Shoot
Yeah.
at 40% from the 3-point line, man. That's not a
10 on
regret.
10 attempts. 10 attempts a
On 10
game.
attempts.
Oh
That's
yeah.
good shooting, man.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you this about the T-Wolves. They play the Orlando Magic tonight. By the way, Paolo Banchero
Hello.
supposed to be coming back. I don't know if he's coming back tonight. He's coming
Yeah, I
back
think
either tonight or tomorrow
yeah.
night
Yeah, I think it probably one of the next two games for sure.
because
Yeah.
they play it back to back. They
Yeah.
play, I want
He
to
may
say the
come back
Spurs
Friday.
tomorrow night.
He may come back Friday. May.
All
May.
right. So I do want to get to that. I do want to ask your thoughts about that. But if you're Ant Edwards, for example, how long before you are forcing your way out of Minnesota? Maybe they
Well,
turn it around this season, put themselves back up in the upper echelon of the West. Maybe they do. Maybe I'm sleeping. But how patient would you be willing to be with this Minnesota Timberwolves organization, man? After trading a guy like Cat.
To be honest, I wouldn't be too patient. You gotta look at it from this perspective, Scotty. Like we just made the Western Conference Finals last season for the first time in what 20 years. So let that sink in for a minute. We kind of took a step backwards. We traded Cat, a guy who helped us get there, for a guy like you said, a clunky fit. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily just a smart fit that like a trade
Yeah.
that made sense. So yeah,
It's not efficient.
unless you ran it from a financial standpoint, then sure, I guess. But hey, I would definitely not just settle for that. Like I want to win a championship, as quick as I can. Like we just made the conference final, so why stop there? Try to figure things out. So, hey man, I tell you this: if I'm Ant Man, give me Zion. Give me Zion, bro. Give me Zion.
Woo! Man, man, if they did that, because I'm a Duke guy, I got a special place in my heart for Zion, man. Put Zion with Ant Edwards.
The most
You
athletic
saw that
duo in the
dunk.
league.
You saw that dunk the other night from
Yeah,
Zion on the fast break.
first game back. First game back.
My man looking juiced. He looked like he in the best shape of his life. Oh man, that you got a good eye. You got a good mind of fits, man. I do like the way you think because you talked about Jimmy to Memphis the last show. I really like that, even though Jimmy doesn't. No, you got a good head on you, Slim, man. You could be an NBA owner. Maybe you wouldn't have traded Cat.
No. Probably would have
How
let Woody.
how big is the Paolo Banchero return, man, for this Magic's team?
I mean, it's huge. I mean, Franz Wagner, he went down right after Paulo did, and then what was it, a few weeks, maybe a week ago, Jalen Suggs just went down. So this is huge for Paulo, him coming back. But shout out to Jamal Mosley, man. I mean, he been keeping the Magic in the mix of things.
Yeah,
He's a clear cut Coach of the Year candidate because those guys have been standing in the mix of things. So shout out to him. And
yeah.
I cannot never pronounce his name. Is it Goga Batasi? I think that's what it is. But yeah, shout out to him too, man. I've been keeping up with him. He's been pretty solid throughout this run. So yeah, Paulo coming back, that's huge, man, for sure.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Basically
Major
with
like
everything you
D-Rag.
said. Jamal Mosley, to weather that storm, you lose your two best players. Obviously, he was weathering the storm with Franz. Franz proved that he's one of the best players in the NBA. Then he goes down. So maybe it was a blessing in disguise in a sense that you had the time while Paulo was out for Franz to figure himself out and
Figure
really
himself.
blossom. So
Yeah.
now when you get Franz back, you're already going to have Paulo back, who's going to be operating at a great level. You get Franz back, he can find his fit again, and that team is going to be something to mess with. Maybe that's a team we should put in like the pause section, which I know 707 was pausing for a different reason there, but maybe we should put the Magic in the pause section just until we see them with Paulo and Franz in the lineup when we talk about contenders in the Eastern Conference. Because to stay afloat without those guys in the lineup, that has to be a pretty solid
Yeah, for
roster
sure. I mean,
around them.
Shout out to Jalen Suggs too, man, because he been
Facts.
balling before he
Facts.
went down. It's like a cycle. So Paulo started the season up hot, he
Yeah.
goes down. Franz Wagner steps up, he goes down. Jalen Suggs been balling, now he goes down.
Turns
So
into a star.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So who do you got tonight? Magic and T Wolves. They play. I saw D Rab has the T Wolves tonight. Who do you think wins this game, man?
Well, I don't know Paulo. So I think the Timberwolves will handle business for sure. They should anyway.
They
So
should. They
maybe
should.
Rudy Gobert have one of those types of games.
Where's it at tonight? Let's just see. Is it in Minnesota? It is
I want to say
in
it is.
Orlando.
Yeah, I just said I don't think so.
Minnesota is a 5.5-point favorite though, so Paulo must be out. Yeah, he's out, so he's coming back tomorrow. Let's go to the other matchup tonight that we're keeping our eyes on, and I think it's about to start, man. Your Warriors are playing
Hey
against
man,
the Detroit Pistons, who are, I want to say 8-2. Am I tripping on that?
they
Eight and
are
two,
undefeated this year. They're undefeated this year.
undefeated this
Yeah.
year. 8-2 in their last 10. They've won 5 in a row.
5 game win streak. Yeah.
I'm not
Hey
going to
man,
ask you. I'm not going to ask you if the Detroit Pistons are real. Cade Cunningham, what are you seeing from this guy? That's what I want to ask you.
hey man, I'm seeing what a number one overall pick supposed to be. He's an all-star this year for sure, all NBA candidate. But shout out to them, JB Bickerstaff and the coaching staff got those guys right, man. So
Yeah.
hey, and then for Cade, like you always knew the talent was there with Cade. It just was a matter of him being healthy. Like even if you go back to last season, it was terrible, but he had a pretty good individual season himself. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that's what makes the most improved player conversation very interesting. We talked about that a little bit before the show, but I've seen some people, kind of trying to put the most improved player hat on Cade Cunningham. And I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if that fits. Like, we talked about it previously with Tyrese Maxey, for example.
Yeah.
And if it fit him, you know what I mean? Like a first round pick, a guy that has made an all-star, like, does he deserve? So, like, Cade Cunningham being a number one overall pick,
Nah, he shouldn't be there. I mean, that's what he's
the
supposed to
team
be.
is most improved around him,
Yeah,
maybe.
he should. I mean, he the number one overall pick. That's what they're supposed to do. You go back to when John Morant won it 3 years ago over Jordan Poole, which I felt like was crazy, but you know.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. Maybe it was a good selection the way Jordan Poole has kind of played out since, but at the time, to your point, it would have made more sense for him. And it's not a projection award, so I'm just kidding. But the Pistons, obviously 19-18 tonight. I believe the Warriors, are they 18-18
Yeah,
or
we
was
18.
that
Yeah, we 18-18, man. Yeah.
18-18? So this is a big game for y'all tonight. Is that true that you're at risk of dropping 3 games in a row if you lose this one?
Yeah.
With D-Rab said?
Uh.
I
Yeah,
can
we
check
lost
really
that.
quick.
Yeah, we lost our last two. Yeah, we lost our last two. So
Heat and
yeah.
Kings. Yeah.
Um.
How you feeling
I
about
know.
this matchup, man?
Well, Wiggins, he's out, due to personal reasons. I know Steph and Draymond was questionable, so I don't know because I've been doing the pod, so I don't know if they playing or not. But honestly, the way that the season has been going over the past couple plus weeks, I would not be surprised if we lose. Like Buddy, man, he has wow. You talk about come down to earth. He's really come down to earth. He really
You
has.
know, I have experience with that as well,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, I know. I know you do. Yeah, I know.
Because you remember when we traded for him at the trade deadline last year and what
Yeah,
he
I
did when he
remember that.
got to Philly? Went
Went off.
off,
But
and then just slowly disappeared and fell out of the
but did he
rotation.
get a chance to play with Joel like that though?
I don't think he did. I don't think he got a fair shake. I really
I,
don't.
I
So
will say
I think
this
that's
though,
a fair
like
question.
at least his last game with you guys, he scored like 20 points, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
he
actually
did.
hope that we would bring him back because he is a good fit with, to your point, Embiid and floor spacing.
Yeah, but he's been struggling with us, man. It's been a tussle with him. So I
So
don't know.
inconsistent.
I just know a trade, needs to happen or something. But even like the Dennis Schroeder, it's not looking too promising, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's really
Yeah.
not.
You got to give it time. You do. 18-18, you played what? That's 30, 30,
But
30.
that's the
Oh my
thing
God,
though. Like
36 games.
we don't
Um,
have time though. We don't have time.
yeah, we're about halfway through the season, just about.
Yeah,
And
like
you're in the West. That's the
yeah, we
difference.
don't have
You're not
time
going to have
just to
time
try to
to
figure
catch
it
up.
out. You know.
So you do need to get a W tonight. It doesn't look like Steph and Draymond are out. They weren't listed on ESPN, but I know ESPN can be a little funky. Just check again
Yeah,
here.
I know
Where
Draymond never beaten the allegations though. In terms of like, if Steph don't play, he's definitely not playing. So he's never beaten the allegations ever.
it looks like Moody, Wiggins, Pods, Kaminga, and Gary Payton II are all
Okay,
out
okay, okay, okay,
tonight.
okay.
And then Tim Hardaway Jr. and Jaden Ivey. Y'all getting the dub tonight, man, before we get out of here?
Yeah, we're gonna get the dub. Yeah,
You
we're
need
gonna.
it. You need to get the W in Detroit. Bring them back down to earth for me real quick. Can you help us catch them and just beat them
Hey, yeah,
tonight?
that's a
Man?
win for. Hey, that sounds about right, man. Hey,
That's a
and
win for
and
both
and,
of us.
and one certain individual, we ain't gonna say his name, but you know what I'm talking about.
We are going to be checking his money. We're going to check his stats on Monday, bro. When we hop back on this show, we're going to look back at this game. We have to, just for I don't even know what his number is on their
Yeah.
team. I was going to say 12, but I'm not even sure if that's his number. We're gonna talk about that. But anything else before we get out of here, Slim? My wife's gonna be pissed at me.
Hey, that's pretty much it, man. I don't want you to get in too much trouble, bro.
Get us out of here, bro.
Yeah, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on, and yeah, follow myself on X at R2R30111. Follow my guy Scotty Drown here because he may be in a lot of trouble. He may need some help, so follow him. And yeah, man, that's pretty much it. We'll be back on here Monday. Make sure you guys tap in and follow the To the Galaxy Pod on X as well. And yeah, with that being said, we out. Peace.
Yes, sir. Peace, everybody. Have a good night. Happy Thursday. Enjoy all the NBA basketball tonight and some college football if you're into that. Peace.